We at Pride Philanthropy have worked more with small healthcare nonprofits than any other niche of the nonprofit realm, and we've learned a lot of lessons over the years. So we've distilled it down in this video to our top 5 strategies for small healthcare nonprofits. Number 1, and this is a big one, engage volunteers. And I'm sure you're thinking, yes, we have volunteers that do all kinds of stuff. We're a nonprofit. Of course we have volunteers. What we recommend is to have an entire set of volunteers that are specifically dedicated to fundraising, just philanthropy. Now, here are the things you're gonna need from these people. You're gonna want about 3 to 5 at the most, but we'll say 3 to 5 hours per month of time. They're gonna spend roughly an hour a week. This includes a monthly meeting, which they do need to attend. Now, in person is best, but if you have to do Zoom, it's better than nothing. But you want some sort of regular communication and updates. You want to provide some level of training. Don't recruit a bunch of volunteers to fundraise and say, go fundraise. Divide them into different groups, whether they're connectors or cultivators, or they might be able to be closers, and have them pick specific lanes. If they don't want to ask for money, totally fine. Have them go on calls with you or introduce you to people. If they are fine asking for money, but they don't feel like they know anyone, that's totally fine. Bring them with you and have them make the ask or have them tell their story of why they serve. There's lots of different things they can do. Biggest one, of course, is opening up new leads and connecting you to new networks, but having volunteers that are just specific to fundraising is a huge lever. If you're a staff of 1, or if you have 0 development staff, this is by far the fastest and best way to raise money and to go through your people. Sometimes includes your board, but sometimes not. A lot of times we have a lot of overlap. Some people will serve on the board and then serve an additional 3 to 4 hours a month of time just in fundraising. But sometimes it's an entirely new group of people saying, I don't have time to be on the board, but I'm fine volunteering. So make sure that you get volunteers recruited, trained, and set expectations early so that you can keep them for the long run. Number 2, launch a focused campaign. Now, I know that doing a capital campaign or some sort of a fundraising campaign is always a ton of work, but there's good data to suggest that you're gonna raise 6 to 10 times the revenue in campaign mode than not in campaign mode. Here's why. First, it gives you a deadline. If we have a deadline of when we're done, we're not gonna let it go on forever because we like February of next year is when this is done. We're all wrapped up. We have a very focused push. We don't have to be in campaign mode all the time, although we try to be in as often as we can and cycle from one to the next, but we have some sort of deadline for a project. The next is a specific thing. We are funding something. It might be things, but there's a specific thing that doesn't exist, and then we raise money, and then it does exist. Now, there's totally fine to raise money for operations and be able to go through and say, we're just funding our mission, and we always have an annual campaign, and we kind of roll one thing into the next, and it's all very generalized on what we do. But if we'd like to buy this specific piece of equipment, or we'd like to launch this specific program, or we need to hire a new staff person, or we want to endow a position so that it has funding in perpetuity. Whatever the thing is, pick a thing and make sure it's a very specific thing with a deadline, and that allows you to raise more money in less time. It's just the same work, basically doing the same things you would normally do in a fundraising program. It just gives you a little bit of an edge. And the third thing is a specific dollar goal. Not just we're trying to raise money, and if we raise some money, it's good, or if we raise more money, it's better. But specifically, we're trying to raise $2 million or $5 million or $10,000. Could be a super small campaign, but we want to talk about here's the amount of the money that we need because this specific thing that we chose before costs about this much, or a portion of it costs this much. So we have a specific goal, we have a specific thing we're going to fund, and we have a time frame that we're going to do it. And it's why it encourages some urgency for people to get involved and give and serve with their time. So make sure you get in campaign mode. If you don't want to call it a campaign, maybe call it a project or call it an initiative. Great way to sneak a campaign into your organization and raise a bunch more money. Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you're getting value out of this but would like something more personalized, you can book 30 minutes with one of our experts to see if you qualify for our support services. Link below in the description. Number 3 is to focus on relationships in your community. We see this mistake all the time with organizations where they're maybe in a small town, small rural hospital, or somewhere pretty remote, and they go, oh, we just got to look outside this community. There's not enough money here in our little town to support ourselves. That may be true to a large extent, but the likelihood that someone from out of town is going to get super excited about funding your thing within your small town Not gonna happen in most cases. So people try to apply for these big state grants or national grants and hope that, in competing against hundreds, maybe even thousands of other charities are gonna get selected for this funding. It's just not going to happen. We wanna start first with relationships in your community. We've served hundreds and hundreds of hospitals, hospices, and free clinics all over the US, and in 0 cases have we run into, oh, there's just not enough wealth in this town. People feel like there's not because there's not as much wealth as there would be in a city. They have billions of people, not billions of people, billions of dollars that are given away in a metro market among millions of people. In a rural town, maybe your ceiling is 10 million or 15 million is the most you could possibly raise. That's still a ton of money for almost every single charity. If you're already big enough where 15 million doesn't have an impact, you're probably too big for your small town anyways. But if you can raise up to, a 8-figure campaign with the money that you have, then you're probably doing fine. So always want to start with the people, the relationships in your community, with your leadership, with your board. If you want specific on how we outreach to these folks, we have another video on that. You can search our YouTube channel or you can keyword search over on our website. We get into a lot of detail. But again, don't start with big outside funding. We got to go elsewhere. We got to find people outside of our community. Start with those people that you know and the people that they know within your actual community. Number 4 is to conduct a feasibility study. There's a reason that almost every single campaign that nonprofits undertake will start with some level of a feasibility study because it answers all kinds of really important questions that allow you to raise more money. Like, what will my donors give to? And yes, I know I'm ending the sentence with a preposition, but you understand what I mean. What kind of things will my donors support? What will they give to? If you just pick something, maybe your donors will give, maybe they won't, and then you wonder why you fail, instead of guessing whether or not they'd give money to a specific project or initiative, you can just literally ask them. You conduct these one-on-one interviews. We have a whole video on how a feasibility study works if you want to watch that, but you get that, what will my donors support and in what order do they prioritize these things? The next is, how much money can we raise? We want to get a dollar amount that's pretty accurate. Again, watch the video on that. You can get kind of the process of how that works. But if we want to set a $10 million goal and we could raise 20, we've left money on the table. If we set a $10 million goal and we can only raise 2 million, everyone's going to feel like we failed when we hit the 1.5 mark, after 2 years of trying. So we want to make sure that we're getting our goal correct in setting those. And we want to find out before we start how much money is actually available. Another big advantage is prospects. Who are we actually going to ask for money? If we don't know the people that we're going to approach for these large gifts or even medium-sized gifts, we want to make sure that we find that out before we start, not as we start. Of course, we'll uncover new prospects during the process as we walk through and talk to people, but very, very important that off the bat here, we have at least some list to get started. This could be prospects for gifts, and it also could be prospects for volunteers and volunteer leadership, going back to that volunteer piece. So we want to make sure we nail these things. There are other deliverables like a timeline and some campaign structure and things that you need to get started. But really, these are kind of the big ones of like, what are we gonna raise money for? How much money we're gonna raise, and who we're gonna go talk to raise that money. If we can learn those things in advance, the likelihood that we'll succeed. There's good data on this. We'll link the study. I think it takes it from like 64% of campaigns succeed up into the high 90% of campaigns that succeed that do a feasibility study first, which is why it's fairly standard practice these days. So for a small town healthcare organization, can't go wrong. And our 5th and final tip, demonstrate impact and steward donors. These things go hand in hand. It's so easy when you have limited staff time and limited resources to, once you get a gift, be like, okay, that person gave, quickly move on to the next, we'll worry about them later. We've checked them off, we've gotten their money. It's actually more financially advantageous to then spend some additional time engaging with, thanking, stewarding, and cultivating again the people who have already given, because in the long run, that's the easiest way to ensure that they give again. It's so much harder. The research shows it's like 5 to 7 times more expensive and more difficult to go out and get a new donor than just to keep your existing ones. But in project mode or campaign mode, again, especially in a small town where you don't have as much staff bandwidth, very difficult to prioritize that. So what we say to all of our clients is just block a little bit of time. Instead of saying these are the things that I'm going to commit to doing, because a long to-do list can just get pushed off and pushed off and pushed off and deprioritized, is we say block time. So a great way to do this is, say you have someone who, assuming works a 40-hour work week, block 2 hours on Tuesday afternoon. And every single Tuesday afternoon, always, always, always focus on stewardship. Start with your biggest donors, work your way down, call, send a handwritten thank you note, recognize them in the community, make a social media post, a news release, send out an email to your donor base. There's a million different things you can do. You can put this into some sort of a structure, but to have some sort of time of like, hey, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Tuesdays, I have a meeting with myself, and all I'm gonna do is show impact of the gifts that we've already gotten, and I'm gonna steward and thank my donors. And you'd be surprised at the returns that makes on the back end. Again, it feels counterintuitive because you wanna spend all your time trying to find new money, but if you can focus on the existing money that you have, it tends to stick around. Hopefully some of those 5 tips were helpful. Definitely try some of those out on your own. If you'd like additional help and want us to help you implement these, you can head over to our website and click the Let's Chat button. A huge majority of our clients are in the healthcare niche. It's definitely what we do best. So if you'd like some extra outside help, you can chat with a member of our team to see if we can help you directly. Thanks so much for checking out our YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the next video.